The shuttle ride down to Zephyra Prime was the longest 20 minutes of Helen Brooks' life. She sat next to Danny Walsh, watching the 6-year-old boy stare out the window with calm eyes as they descended toward certain death, his stuffed dog. Rusty was tucked under his arm, and he hummed a quiet song his mother used to sing to him, Tony Martinez. The shuttle pilot kept checking his instruments nervously. Are we really doing this? Are we really taking a kid down to meet that thing? Dr. Patricia Lee adjusted her recording equipment for the 10th time. The creature's behavior patterns suggest it won't attack a non-threatening target. Children represent no danger to it. Tell that to the families of everyone it's killed, Tony muttered. But he kept flying. Through the shuttle's windows, they could see the ruins of what had once been New Angeles. Twisted metal and broken concrete covered the ground like a gray blanket. Smoke still rose from some of the wreckage, 3 weeks after the creature's last rampage. There it is, Danny said quietly. The creature sat in the middle of what had been the city's main square. It was enormous now, nearly 60 feet. Tall, its black skin rippling with dim red lines. Its massive head hung low as it stared at the ground, and occasionally it would make a soft rumbling sound that vibrated through the shuttle's hull. It looks so sad, Helen whispered. It is sad, Danny said matter-of-factly. Wouldn't you be? Sad if all your babies were gone? Tony set the shuttle down about 100 yards from the creature. The moment they landed, the massive head lifted and turned toward them. The red lines under its skin pulsed brighter, and it slowly stood up to its full height. Movement detected, Patricia said, reading her sensors. Heart rate increasing. Stress indicators rising, but no aggressive posturing. The creature took a step toward the shuttle, then stopped. It tilted its head like a confused animal trying to understand something new. Danny unbuckled his safety harness and stood up. I'm ready. Danny, wait, Helen grabbed his arm. What if we're wrong? What? If it hurts you? Danny looked up at her with those brown eyes that seemed too old for his face. Then I'll be with my mom and dad again. But I don't think it will hurt me. It's just lonely. Before anyone could stop him, Danny walked to the shuttle door and pressed the button to open it. The hiss of equalizing air pressure filled the cabin as the ramp lowered to the ground. The creature's head snapped toward the sound. It took another step forward, and Patricia's instruments went crazy as massive amounts of bioelectric energy surged through its body. Danny, get back inside, Helen called, but Danny was already walking down the ramp, his small feet crunching on the broken glass and debris that covered the ground. He held Rusty in one hand and waved at the creature with the other. Hello, big dog, he called out in his clear child's voice. My name is Danny, the creature froze. The red lines under its skin flickered and changed color, shifting from angry red to a softer blue. It lowered its massive head until it was only 20 feet above the ground, studying the small human who showed no fear. Danny walked closer, stepping carefully over chunks of concrete and twisted metal. I heard about your babies. I'm really sorry they got hurt. We didn't know they were there. The creature made that soft rumbling sound again, but quieter now. It was like a giant cat purring, if cats were the size of buildings. I lost my family too, Danny continued, still walking forward. The fighting took my mom and dad away. So I know how it feels to be alone, 50 feet away, 40 feet, 30 feet. The creature lowered its head even more until its massive eyes were level with Danny's small form. Up close, they could see that the eyes weren't cruel or angry. They were just tired and infinitely sad. Danny stopped walking when he was close enough to touch the creature's snout. He reached out with one small hand and placed it against the warm black skin. You've been protecting this place for a long time, haven't you? Danny said softly, even before we came here. You were keeping your babies safe. The creature's eyes closed and the rumbling sound grew louder. The red lines under its skin shifted to gold, then to a peaceful green. But they're gone now, Danny continued, and being angry won't bring them back. Being angry just makes you hurt more. Inside the shuttle, Helen was crying. Patricia's instruments showed the creature's stress levels dropping to almost nothing. Tony had his hand on the emergency takeoff switch, but he couldn't bring himself to use it. Danny looked up at the massive creature that had terrorized half the galaxy. You know what you need to do now? You need to sit. You need to rest. You've been fighting for so long. The word hung in the air between them. Sit. Such a simple command, the kind every dog owner used every day. But when Danny said it, with all the innocent authority that only a child could possess, something magical happened. The creature that had defied quantum weapons and psychic attacks, that had grown stronger with every assault, that had made the galaxy's greatest civilizations admit defeat, slowly lowered its massive body to the ground. Its legs folded beneath it, and it settled into a sitting position like an obedient pet. Good dog, Danny said, patting the creature's snout. You're a very good dog. The creature's eyes opened, and for the first time in 3 weeks, the red lines under its skin went completely dark. The constant low-level energy readings that had terrified scientists across the galaxy simply stopped. Danny climbed up onto the creature's front leg and sat down, leaning against its warm flank. We can't bring your babies back, he said quietly. But maybe we can make sure this never happens to anyone else's babies again. The creature lowered its head until it was resting on the ground next to Danny. The boy reached over and scratched behind what might have been its ear. That's right, Danny whispered. Just rest now. Everything's going to be okay. From orbit, every ship in the rescue fleet watched in stunned silence as a 6-year-old human boy accomplished what the combined might of galactic civilization could not. The most dangerous creature in known space was now sitting quietly, getting its ears scratched by a child who understood that sometimes the scariest monsters are just parents who've lost their way. In the shuttle, Helen wiped tears from her eyes and activated the radio. This is ground team to all ships. The situation is under control. Repeat, the situation is under control. The galaxy would never forget the day a human child said one word and changed everything. But Danny Walsh just sat there in the alien sunshine, sharing his loneliness with a creature that had finally found someone who understood. Dr. Patricia Lee spent 3 sleepless weeks studying every piece of video footage from Zephyra Prime. Her small office on the Haven was covered with papers, charts, and computer screens showing the creature from different angles. Empty coffee cups and food containers covered her desk as she worked day and night to understand what they were dealing with. The breakthrough came at 4 in the morning, when she was watching footage from the creature's first attack on mining Station 7. She had seen this video hundreds of times, but exhaustion made her notice something new. The creature didn't attack the people first. It went straight for the mining equipment. Computer, show me all attacks in chronological order, she said. The screen lit up with dozens of video clips. Station 7, Station 6, the outer settlements, and finally New Angeles. In every single attack, the creature followed the same pattern. First it destroyed mining equipment, then power generators, then communication towers. Finally, defensive weapons, but it never attacked the living areas until people started shooting at it. It wasn't hunting humans, Patricia whispered to herself. It was stopping the mining operation. She pulled up geological surveys of Zephyr Prime. The mining stations were all built on top of crystal caves that went deep underground. The crystals were valuable for making computer chips and energy cells. Humans had been digging them up for 5 years. Patricia's hands shook as she opened the files about the creatures that lived in those caves. The surveys mentioned small, glowing organisms that seemed to live in symbiosis with the crystals. The miners called them cave sparklers and mostly ignored them. Computer, cross-reference cave sparkler life cycles with creature attack patterns. The results made her stomach drop. The cave sparklers reproduced once every 5 years. Their breeding season had started exactly 3 weeks before the creature's first appearance. The mining operations had unknowingly been destroying nurseries full of baby cave sparklers. Patricia ran to the command center. Still in her pajamas? Captain? Betty Rodriguez was there, studying star charts with her officers. Captain, I know what the creature is, Patricia said breathlessly. It's not a predator, it's a parent. Betty looked up from her charts. What are you talking about? The cave sparklers. They're not just random organisms. They're its children. The creature is the adult form of the cave sparklers. We've been mining its nurseries for 5 years. Patricia pulled up her research on the main screen. Look at the attack patterns. It only destroyed equipment that was threatening the caves where its babies lived. Lieutenant Tom Gray leaned forward. But why is it so big? The cave sparklers are tiny. Think about Earth animals. A caterpillar turns into a butterfly. A tadpole becomes a frog. Patricia's voice grew excited as the pieces fell into place. The cave sparklers are the larval stage. After 5 years, one of them grows into the adult guardian form. Betty stared at the screen. So when we started mining deeper 3 weeks ago, double quotes, we hit the main nursery chamber. Thousands of cave sparklers getting ready to reproduce. The guardian creature sensed the threat and came to protect them. Patricia wiped tears from her eyes. We weren't dealing with a monster. We were dealing with a mother protecting her children. The command center fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. All those attacks, all that destruction, all that fear. The creature had just been trying to save its babies. But the nurseries are gone now, Tom said quietly. We destroyed them before we knew what they were, Patricia nodded sadly. That's why it's wandering around the ruins. It's looking for survivors. Any cave sparkler that might have escaped. Betty activated the ship's intercom. All department heads to the command center immediately. We have new information about the creature. 20 minutes later, the ship's leadership team gathered around the conference table. Patricia explained her discovery to doctors, engineers, and administrators. When she finished, the room was silent. For a long time, Dr. Paul Newman spoke first. So you're telling us that this creature has been grieving for 3 weeks? That it lost all its children because of our mining operation? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Patricia replied. And every time we attacked it, we confirmed in its mind that we were the enemy. We were the ones who killed its young. Helen Brooks, who had been caring for the human orphans, felt tears running down her face. 67 children lost their parents in this war. And it started because we accidentally killed its children first. The question now, said Betty, is what do we do about it? The creature is still down there. It's still dangerous. And it probably still sees us as threats. Patricia had been thinking about this for hours. Someone needs to go down there and try to communicate with it. Not with weapons or machines, but with empathy. It needs to understand that we didn't know. We were hurting its young. That's suicide, Tom said. The thing is 50 feet tall now and can destroy anything we send down. Not anything, said a small voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Danny Walsh standing there, holding his stuffed dog, Rusty. Helen had brought him to the meeting because he was having nightmares and didn't want to be alone. Danny, you should be sleeping, Helen said gently. I heard you talking about the big dog losing its puppies, Danny said. That's why it's so sad? That's why it keeps looking for them? Betty knelt down to Danny's level. What do you mean, not anything? Danny looked around at all the adults with his serious brown eyes. It won't hurt someone who's not a threat. And kids aren't threats to parents. Parents protect kids, even if they're not their own kids. The adults exchanged looks. The logic was simple, innocent, and completely insane. You're suggesting we send a child down to talk to a creature that's killed hundreds of people? Dr. Newman asked. I'm suggesting, Danny said calmly, that maybe the big dog just needs someone to be nice to it. Someone who understands what it's like to lose your family. Patricia felt a chill run down her spine. In all her research, in all the galactic councils, debates, in all the military planning, no one had considered the simplest approach of all, kindness. The refugee ship Haven floated in space like a metal city filled with sadness. 50,000 humans crowded into spaces meant for half that number. They had lost their homes, their possessions, and many had lost family members too. The only thing they had left was life itself, and even that felt fragile. Danny Walsh sat in the corner of sleeping bay 12, holding his stuffed dog named Rusty. The toy was old and worn, with one ear missing and patches where the fur had rubbed away. Danny's parents had bought it for him 3 years ago, back when the family lived on Earth. Now his parents were gone. killed when the creature attacked the research station where they worked. Helen Brooks, the colony administrator, tried to keep track of all the orphan children. There were 67 of them, ranging from babies to teenagers. Danny was one of the youngest at 6 years old, but he caused her the least trouble. While other children cried or had nightmares, Danny seemed strangely calm. "Why doesn't he scream like the others?" asked Dr. Paul Newman, the ship's head doctor. He had been watching Danny for 3 days. "Every other child who saw that thing has nightmares. This boy sleeps peacefully." Helen looked over at Danny, who was drawing pictures with colored pencils on recycled paper. "I don't know. Maybe he's in shock. Maybe his mind is protecting itself by not understanding what happened." But when Helen looked at Danny's drawings, she felt confused. Other children drew pictures of the creature as a monster with sharp teeth and evil eyes. Danny's pictures showed the same black creature, but it looked different. In his drawings, it wasn't destroying buildings. It was just standing there looking lost. "Danny," Helen said, sitting down next to him, "can you tell me about your picture?" Danny looked up with brown eyes that seemed too old for his face. "The big dog is sad," he said simply. "It doesn't know where its family went." "Big dog?" "The scary thing everyone talks about. It's not really scary. It's just a very big dog that got lost." Danny went back to coloring. "Dogs get angry when they're lost and scared. They break things sometimes." Helen felt a chill run down her back. "Danny, that thing killed people. It destroyed our homes." Danny nodded seriously. "I know. But it didn't mean to hurt people. It was looking for something and couldn't find it. That's why it got so mad." Before Helen could ask more questions, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "All passengers to the observation lounges. We're going to try communication with the creature." In Observation Lounge 3, 200 refugees gathered around the large windows that showed Zephyr Prime below. The planet looked different now. Where green forests and silver cities had once spread across the surface, now only brown dirt. And black smoke remained. Captain Betty Rodriguez appeared on the main screen. She was broadcasting from her ship in orbit. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try something new today. Our scientists think the creature might be trying to communicate. We're going to send down a radio transmitter and see if it responds." Danny pressed his face against the window, looking down at the planet. "There it is," he said quietly. Helen looked where Danny was pointing. At first she saw nothing but ruins. Then she spotted movement near what used to be the main spaceport. Something huge and black was walking slowly through the wreckage. The creature was enormous now, nearly 40 feet tall. The red lines under its skin pulsed with a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. It moved carefully, as if searching for something specific among the debris. "It's looking for its pack," Danny said. Helen stared at the boy. "What did you say?" "Dogs live in packs. When they get separated, they look for their pack. That's what it's doing." Danny pointed at the creature again. "See how it keeps going to the same places? It's checking all the spots where its pack might be hiding." On the screen below, they watched as the creature walked to the ruins of the main hospital. It sniffed around the broken building, then moved on to what had been the school. Its movements were slow and methodical, not angry like before. "The transmitter is in place," came Captain Rodriguez's voice. "Beginning communication attempt now." A series of tones played from speakers throughout the ship. Mathematical sequences, musical patterns, and simple greetings in 12 different languages. The creature stopped walking and turned toward the source of the sound. For a moment, hope filled the observation lounge. The creature was listening. Maybe they could finally talk to it and understand what it wanted. Then the creature opened its mouth and roared. The sound was so loud that it overloaded the transmitter and broke 3 windows on the Haven. When the echo faded, the creature had resumed its slow search through the ruins. "Communication attempt failed," Captain Rodriguez announced. "The creature shows no interest in our signals." But Danny was shaking his head. "It's not trying to talk to us. It's calling for its pack. That's what dogs do when they're lost. They howl to let their family know where they are." Helen knelt down next to Danny's chair. "If it's looking for its pack, Where do you think they went? Danny considered this seriously, the way only children. Can maybe they went home? Maybe this isn't their home. Maybe they came from somewhere else and got lost here. But why would it destroy everything we built? Dogs don't like when strangers move into their territory, especially if they think the strangers might hurt their pack. Danny looked up at Helen with those two old eyes. It was protecting something, but now it can't find what it was protecting. So sad and confused? Dr. Patricia Lee was listening from the back of the room. She was a specialist in animal behavior who had been studying videos of the creature for weeks. Danny's words made something click in her mind. Guardian behavior, she whispered to herself. Not predator behavior, guardian behavior. She pushed through the crowd to reach Danny. Little boy, you said it was protecting something. What do you think it was protecting? Danny looked out at the creature still searching through the ruins. Far below, maybe it was protecting us. Maybe we were its pack and it just didn't know how to tell us. The adults around Danny exchanged looks. It was a child's logic, simple and innocent. But as they watched the creature's methodical search through the ruins of their civilization, they began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, a 6-year-old boy understood something that all the galaxy's greatest minds had missed down on the planet. The creature raised its massive head and roared again, a sound full of loneliness that somehow reached through the vacuum of space to touch their hearts. The emergency meeting on Nexus Station brought together the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Representatives from 12 different alien species sat around the massive circular table, their various forms creating strange shadows in the blue light. At the center of the table, a hologram showed the black creature destroying another human building. Ambassador Veltar of the Kristen Collective spoke first. His crystal body made clicking sounds as he moved. My people surveyed Zephyra Prime? 50 years ago, we found no trace of such a creature. This thing appeared from nowhere. General Crix of the Mandari Empire leaned forward on his 6 arms. It matters little where it came from. What matters is stopping it before it spreads to other worlds. My battle fleet can glass the entire planet in 1 hour. And kill 50,000 humans in the process, said Captain Betty Rodriguez. She was the only human at the table, representing Earth's interests. We need to save the people trapped down. There, High Commander Zixmuth of the Crenary Empire stood up. His blue skin turned darker when he was angry, and now it was almost black. One creature cannot stand against the might of the Crenary fleet. We have weapons that can crack moons. In half, the other aliens murmured agreement. The Crenary were known throughout the galaxy as the greatest warriors. If anyone could stop this thing, it would be them. Very well, said the council chairman. Commander Zixmuth, you have permission to use whatever force necessary. 3 hours later, 6 Crenary dreadnoughts surrounded Zephyra Prime. Each ship was 2 miles long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. The human rescue ships pulled back to a safe distance to watch. Commander Zixmuth stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the planet below through his ships. Sensors, he could see the creature moving through the ruins of New Angeles. It had grown larger since the first reports. Now it stood 15 feet tall, and the red lines under its black skin pulsed brighter than before. Target the creature, Zixmuth ordered. Fire all quantum disruptors at once. The combined firepower of 6 dreadnoughts hit the planet's surface. The explosion could be seen from space, a white flash that turned night into day. When the light faded, a crater a mile wide marked where the creature had been standing. Scan for life signs, Zixmuth commanded. The sensor officer's face went pale. Sir, there's movement in the crater. On the main screen, they watched as the creature climbed out of the smoking hole. It was bigger now, 20 feet tall. The red lines under its skin blazed like fire. It looked up at the ships in orbit and opened its mouth. The roar that came out somehow traveled through space itself. Every Crenary warrior on every ship heard it inside their heads. Half of them dropped their weapons and ran. The sound spoke of endless anger and a hunger that could never be filled. Impossible, Zixmuth whispered. Nothing can survive quantum disruptors. The creature roared again. And this time several Crenary soldiers fainted from fear. Back on Nexus Station, the news of the Crenary failure sent shockwaves through the Council. If the greatest military force in the galaxy couldn't hurt this thing, what could? High Mystic Zindara of the Ethereal Syndicate requested permission to try next. The Ethereals were masters of the mind, able to control thoughts and bend reality with their will. If brute force had failed, perhaps psychic power would succeed. 12 of the most powerful ethereal mindbenders gathered on their ship above, Zephyr Prime. They joined their thoughts together, creating a mental force that had once stopped a war between two star systems. Together, they reached out with their minds to touch the creature's consciousness. The psychic backlash hit them like a physical blow. 6 of the ethereals fell into comas immediately. The other 6 began screaming and speaking in strange voices. "It burns," one of them said, his eyes rolled back in his head. A will forged in the heart of dying stars. "It defies everything it was made to defy?" Another ethereal grabbed High Mystic Zindara by the arm. "Not an animal," she whispered. "Something else, something that should not exist. It hungers to destroy. All that we build, all that we make, it is the answer to order itself." The remaining ethereals had to be sedated. Those who recovered would never speak of what they had seen in the creature's mind. Captain Betty Rodriguez watched from her ship as species after species tried and failed to stop the monster. The Thorian Collective sent their world-eating machines. The creature tore them apart with its bare claws. The Zephyrian cores tried their reality-warping weapons. The creature ignored them completely. Each attack seemed to make it stronger. It was now 30 feet tall and moving faster than before. Worse, it had learned. When the Plasma Lords tried to trap it in an energy cage, the creature broke free and destroyed their ship with some kind of energy beam from its mouth. The thing was adapting to every weapon used against it. It was learning from each attack and becoming immune to that type of damage. The greatest civilizations in the galaxy were teaching it how to be unstoppable. "This is madness," Betty said to her first officer. "We're making it stronger every time we attack it." Lieutenant Tom Gray nodded grimly. "Maybe that's what it wants. Maybe it wants us to attack so it can grow." On the planet below, the creature had finished destroying the last human city. Now it wandered through the ruins, its massive head turning this way and that as if looking for something. The red lines under its skin pulsed slower now, almost sadly. "It's searching for something," Betty realized. "But what?" "We already evacuated everyone." The council meeting that followed was the shortest in galactic history. One by one, each species admitted defeat. The creature had proven immune to every weapon, every power, every trick they possessed. Some suggested leaving it alone and hoping it would stay on Zephyr Prime. Others wanted to destroy the entire star system to prevent it from spreading. "There must be another way," Betty insisted. "Something we haven't tried." Ambassador Veltar's crystal body darkened with sadness. "Captain Rodriguez, your species has great courage, but even humans cannot fight the impossible. This creature has defeated us all." Betty looked around the table at the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, all admitting they were helpless against one animal. It made no sense. There had to be something they were missing, some piece of the puzzle they hadn't found yet, but for now, all they could do was watch and wait as something impossible ruled the ruins of a human world. The first scream came at 3 a.m. Jake Martinez rolled out of his bunk aboard the space station, his bare feet hitting the cold metal floor. The emergency alarm was loud enough to wake the dead, but it was the sound underneath that made his blood freeze. Someone was screaming through the radio, and the words made no sense. It came out of nowhere. The barrier did nothing. "Oh God, it's coming through the wall like paper." Jake grabbed his uniform and ran to the command center. The night shift crew was already there, their faces pale in the blue light of the screens. Lieutenant Sam Collins looked up when Jake entered. "Sir, we lost contact with Mining Station 7 about 10 minutes ago. The last message was ... Sam stopped and played the recording. The voice was Dr. Ben Carter, the station chief. Jake had met him twice, a calm man who never raised his voice. But in the recording, Carter was screaming. The creature is 12 feet tall. Black as space with red lights under its skin. Our weapons bounce off it. It's not hunting us, it's destroying everything we built. Every machine, every building. Make it stop, please make it stop. Then the line went dead. Jake stared at the screen. Showing mining station 7. The green dot that meant all systems working had turned red. What about the other stations? Station 6 went dark 5 minutes ago. Same thing. Screaming, then nothing. Collins wiped sweat from his face. Sir, we have 300 people down there. Jake opened the channel to the main colony. New Houston, this is Orbital Command. Report your status. The voice that answered was Mayor Patricia Stone. She sounded scared but trying to stay calm. We can see fires in the distance. Whatever hit the mining stations is moving toward us. Our sensors show something big coming fast. How big? 12 feet tall, moving on 4 legs. Speed is about 60 miles per hour. It will reach our outer fence in 20 minutes. Jake felt his mouth go dry. Nothing should be able to move that fast and be that big. Get everyone to the shelters, we're sending help. But even as he said it, Jake wondered what help they could send. The colony had defense guns that could stop any known animal. If those weren't working, what would? The next report came from the colony's defense chief, Captain Roy Adams. The thing just walked through our energy fence like it wasn't there. The plasma cannons hit it dead on. It didn't even slow down. What is this thing? Through the radio, they could hear the sound of breaking metal and screaming. Then Captain Adams came back on. It's not trying to eat anyone. It's destroying our buildings, our machines, everything we made. It's like it hates anything artificial. Jake watched the screens as red dots appeared across the colony. Each red dot meant a building was gone. The creature was moving through New Houston like a knife through butter, leaving nothing but broken metal and flames behind. Dr. Lisa Thompson's voice came through from the science lab. She was the colony's expert on alien life forms. I'm watching it through the security cameras. This isn't normal animal behavior. It's choosing targets. It hit the power plant first, then the communication tower. Now it's going for the weapon storage. This thing is smart. Can you identify the species? Jake asked. Never seen anything like it. The black skin seems to absorb energy. Those red lines under its hide are pulsing like a heartbeat. When our weapons hit it, the lines glow brighter. I think it's feeding on the energy somehow. A new voice broke in. It was Dr. Thompson again, but she sounded different. Scared. Very scared. It's looking at the camera, right at me. Those eyes. They're not animal eyes. There's intelligence there. It knows I'm watching. The screen went black. Jake tried to raise other stations, but got only static. One by one, every human settlement on Zephyr Prime was going dark. Whatever this creature was, it was wiping out 3 centuries of human progress in a single night. Lieutenant Collins was working at his station, trying to get readings from the planet. Sir, the thing is still moving. It's heading for the main city. 50,000 people live there. Jake made the hardest decision of his career. Send the evacuation signal. All ships, all transports. Get everyone off that planet now. Sir, we don't have enough ships for 50,000 people. Then we save who we can. Jake looked at the screens showing red dots spreading across the planet like a disease. And we pray this thing doesn't learn to fly. The evacuation began within the hour. Transport ships dove through the atmosphere, loading panicked colonists as fast as possible. The pilots reported the same thing over and over. The creature ignored the ships completely. It only cared about destroying things humans had built. By dawn, they had saved 30,000 people. 20,000 more were trapped in the main city with a monster that couldn't be stopped, couldn't be reasoned with, and couldn't be killed. Jake stood in the command center, watching his life's work burn. Zephyr Prime had been humanity's most successful colony. Now it was a graveyard of twisted metal and broken dreams, and somewhere in the ruins, a 12-foot-tall nightmare was still hunting for more things to destroy.